if I could write out the lyrics of the song, I would online, but it's a little bit long. Maybe at some point people can learn it. You can find this song called Door of My Heart through Yogananda. What I love about Yogananda is he kind of bridges the gap between Christianity and Hinduism. So you could feel like when you go to a self-realization service that you could feel at home if you're a Christian or if you're a Hindu, either way. It's good because it kind of brings religions together, and it says, we're all kind of looking for the same thing, really. Everyone's using sort of different terminology maybe, but we're all really looking for the same thing. Indeed, everyone in this world is searching for the Lord in their own way. Some may call it happiness, some may call it love, some may call it joy. But we're all searching for fulfillment. Deep down inside, the soul is longing to return to its source. Hello and welcome to Satsang. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hi Philip. Hi Tony. Hi Elizabeth. Elizabeth says hi Josh.
Yeah.
So, I would say maybe one of the easiest ways that one can approach God is through gratitude, because there's always something to be grateful for. If you think about your life, no matter how dark it seems, there is something that you can consider in your life that you could say is a treasure that's beautiful.
You're alive at a minimum.
You're alive, right? Yeah. I mean, and there's so much to say about that. I remember, if anyone online knows that teacher, her name is Gangaji. God, there's this beautiful video of one of her songs about gratitude. And she was saying how gratitude is just about telling the truth. The truth of where you're at in your life. And she was saying the fact that you open your eyes in the morning and let's say, at least in this country, in the United States, there is no war. There's actually peace. People are not fighting and dropping bombs and things like that. And then you go outside and, like us, you witness the birds flying around. I was commenting how the hummingbirds seem to be attracted to this place.
That's fun.
They like it. They like the sweetness of it. I don't know. We're not even sure. I mean, there's definitely many flowers, and you can watch the flowers and the bees, and it's also kind of amazing to watch the bees because they seem to be quite content. They don't seem to be interested in chasing after all these things like we do. We've got so many things that we need to do, whereas the bee is just looking for the sweetness in all the flowers. That's really the only purpose of the bee. The bee's mind is not very complicated. That's an amazing, and if you watch that, you can just be grateful for the example of the bee.
It's doing its dharma and it's happy.
Indeed. And I was saying to you the other day, that wouldn't it be great to be incarnated as a tree? But some of the trees in the park, they're huge, noble, we'll call them creatures, and they have these gigantic branches that provide shade, and they just sort of bend and flow with the wind, and they provide this example of just patience and stability and rootedness. And so you look at the tree and you can learn the virtues of the tree. So I could see how a person, and I was commenting because this is my own feeling of if a person dies, and he wants to decide his next life, and he says, I just want to break, relax a little bit. The human life is rather stressful. So I'm going to incarnate as a tree and just relax in a park and just be a house for the squirrels. That might be actually a delightful life. And I was also commenting that Swami Purna once said that plants actually have higher consciousness than the average human. We'll say the average human, because the average human has a lot of greed and violence and anger in him or her, whereas the tree is very, very peaceful. And how you know that is try sitting underneath a tree in the shade, and you can feel the peace and the relaxation. So they're literally emanating this presence that can put you into meditation. That's amazing. So one of the things that I am grateful for at this time, normally I'd be driving all day, customer after customer after customer. I mean, it's a lot. And now that I'm not driving because of what's going on, I have this time to go out in nature and actually stop, as opposed to what I would do before. I would drive, then I would arrive home, and then I would say, I've got to go on a run to get my exercise. Quickly run for, let's say, 20, 30 minutes, or however long, through the forest. But I'm always thinking, I got to get my exercise, I got to get this done, because I'm on a time limit. Because then I've got these other things I need to do in the evening, and so it's always this sort of scheduled thing, where I can wake up now and I can go running anytime I want, and I actually, now I run into the forest, I perch on top of a rock and I sit and I meditate, and I just watch Mother Nature unfold before my very eyes. And that kind of meditation, or that kind of, we'll say, relaxation or enjoyment, even if I had tried to do that during my scheduled time, my mind would have been still thinking in the background, oh, well, I've got this schedule that I'm on, so I can't fully enjoy the presence of nature here and now. So my free time that I have now is an incredible gift. And those people who are stopped in their jobs, let's say, who can't, and even if they try to apply for a job, companies don't even know whether they're going to survive or not anyway. So it's like trying to scramble for a job right now may not even be the best time. So if you can just sort of hold on for the rest of the time that you have to be in quarantine, then maybe just say, put that worry of a job aside and say, this time has been given to me as a gift so that I can practice being present and get out of the scheduled life, or the life of appointment after appointment after appointment. Another good example would be, let's say we're all sort of rushing out to work in the morning during during a normal time. And then we have to stop at a crosswalk, and there's, let's say, two old people crossing the street, and they're sort of going slowly along, and they're not in a hurry. And we're, come on, hurry up, honking the horn or whatever it is that we feel. I've got to get to an appointment. And they're just relaxed because they don't have any appointments and nowhere to go. And that's like a beautiful statement. And so another sort of very interesting thing about meditation and presence is when your body gets a lot older, it's going to be more difficult to meditate, at least in general for the regular person, because you start to get aches and pains and you can't sit as long, and creaky joints and things like that. Now is the time, if your body is sort of like young, and we'll just assume everyone is young, that you can take advantage of the young body and do your sadhana and your yoga while you're comfortable in your body. Because once the body starts breaking down, it's a lot harder to do meditation. So, and the interesting thing is like people perhaps don't don't develop the gratitude for a young, vibrant body, because they're going out and doing things and parties, and there's always going about and doing things, and there's not a real deep understanding of this beautiful, healthy vibrance until you feel the contrast when your body starts to break down when you're older. Then you're like, oh, I had it good before because my body was so alive and vibrant and energetic. And I'm not saying that you can't maintain that vibrance, because it's said, in fact, in Swami Purna's book, it said that if you simply have healthy habits, eat healthy and do yogic practices and meditation, and you don't even have to be a high yogi, and your body can live easily to 150 years old in a healthy condition. And so you can continue to do your meditations as you want. However, that's generally not the case with our society, because we have so much sort of, we'll say, junk food and junk things easily available to us. So we get it just like that, and then what happens is those chemicals build up in our body, and at some point, let's say the body gets cancer, we're like, well, where did that come from? Well, it's because we were consuming all these things with chemicals in them, and including, the bars of soap and the shampoos and the perfumes and all that stuff. It's like we don't even realize that over time we're polluting the body until suddenly it gets a disease later and we wonder what happened. So being grateful for a vibrant body is probably sort of the initial step in gratitude.